guys, and welcome to your Summertide Psychic reading. Last time, of course, as you know, I did the Springtide read. It was excellent. We really got into a lot of people's vibrational fields. A lot of people benefited from it. But the energies have dramatically now changed. New moon, cusping right out of Gemini and into Cancer. So the sun has entered Cancer. It is now summer solstice energy fields. So what's going to be quite interesting to see is these vibrational fields that we're about to look at will be decidedly different than this spring. And I don't have to tell you, Springtide was pretty challenging. It really was. But hopefully you've grown from it, you've evolved, and it'll be delightful to see what our new perspective is. Let's do just that. Okay, so new vibes, new energies, a new vibrational field. Let's see what it says in the summer of the year of the water dragon. The vibrational fields are going to be quite potent. And again, as you know, same old, I'll explain in a minute. This is a luxury I love to languish you in, because not everybody gets to see me. Not everybody gets a reading. But in theory, not everybody gets a reading. But you're going to get one today. So, if you can't get to see me, if you can't afford to see me, if you can't physically get to see me, you can see me. Thank God for the technologies. Let's take a look at what the vibrational fields say when the sun enters Cancer, the moon enters Cancer. It is now going to start waxing to full, and Litha, the summer solstice, summer begins. So the vibes have shifted, and they say this. Verse 4. They carry with them a main theme. We go further into the vibrational zone. Closest to you, my friends. And let's see how the energy fields today want to begin. The first vibrational field that, as you may know, sets the tone for your read this summer says this. You're in the vibrational field of a new beginning, as you know. So, I think that's very appropriate for a new beginning. Summer begins and you get a new beginning. But let me explain though. There could be other vibes that suggest a premiere, prelude, or beginnings. They could, on some level, intimate change. This particular new beginning I like a lot. It has $100 bills floating through space. It has tarot cards. This tarot card floats through the imagery. So it's images inside images. It's layering of energy now as all the flowers and greenery start to climb up the trees and they start to create this beautiful landscape of color. You're in the vibrational field of the sun. I even put in a box of American cereal, Cheerios, but it represents, of course, the morning. In this image, the hand of God comes down with a crystal ball. Another image of a crystal ball inside a crystal ball. The notion of in images within images. I'm already then getting the sense that the summer looks good and that we're probably going to be able to move through the season with great perspective. So let's take a look at what that perspective is all about. So let's begin with a vibration that projected itself from the imagery as you had seen. It's the image that we've seen throughout the year. It's made appearances before. The dog-eared, very old image of Pandora's box. And it always represents we who seek knowledge. And that's what we endeavor to do today. So, that said, let's open up the box. The Theater of Reality in the summer of 2012 says this. You're in the vibrational field first of economic energies, vibrational fields that represent money, material energy flows. Now this vibration is traditionally ruled by Mercury in Taurus. That can suggest opposed communication. So try not to allow that to happen. Don't fuel it. Dissuade it somehow. A vibe like this can get you into financial worry if you let it. It's appearing with a lot of green, if you've noticed. Lots of green energy fields. So, as you know, in this particular case, I have to attribute it, though, to financial energy and not to just a heart chakra energy that has to do with matters of love. You'll have to excuse Troy. He's doing what Siamese do. They lick plastic bags. He gets a kick out of it. But anyway, again, this vibe is a 5 vibrational field. Gebura, they say in Kabbalah. So my counsel to you would be, 5s have a tricky way of working. Point up, it could be quite healthy. Point down, it could be quite draining. So we'll have to go further to determine if financial energies appear to be, let's say, I mean, a vibe like this isn't startling. If anything, in this economy, it should be expected. But I don't want to see it get any worse than 5. 5 has promise, at least, attached to it. There's ways to work this wheel, this star. But it begins, interestingly, with the finances of the summer. My counsel is, don't worry. But it does represent, though, material energy fields. I'd imagine you'll have to be creative. And remember where your creativity now lies, in how you're going to communicate with who you want to hire you, or who you want to hire, or the authority figures you have to deal with in order to be successful. Let's take a look at then the inner sanctum. Okay, so you made it through the spring of 2012, the year of Water Dragon, and now you come equipped into the summer of 2012 with certain tools at your disposal. You have managed to make it. So you have now you're privy to a certain energy field of knowledge and information. Let's take a look at what can now, or rather you could utilize to hopefully have a successful summer. The vibrations say, this is what is now attributed to you. The energies suggest first, a bright color red. That's a good energy field to be in. So this vibrational field can represent your physical resources. A vibe like this suggests there's plenty of them. However, I have to admit, when you get a vibe like this, there are health concerns and considerations. So I could not simply look at this and tell you that this summer is going to be some sort of easy breezy sensation where it's so completely relaxing, you have nothing to concern yourself about physically. With a vibe like this, you do have to fuel up, you do have to hydrate, you do have to take care of yourself, and many of us with a vibe like this then will probably have to attend to something that has to do with our health. But a vibe like this, as we just mentioned though, has already been suggested as how we manage to navigate spring, and apparently it's leading us into summer as well. Look, it's the realm of duality, it's an earthly realm. We have to consider this. But let's go further. What can we do about this immense blood-red physical energy that comes through? The vibes say what we can do is we can understand the metaphysical gifts we've been given, and that is your power to manifest. So visualize, think of what is goodly and meditative and centering. Think of yourself as healthy. This is a portrait I did of myself in 1988. My friend Kim, filming this, took this photo. I laid in the park on the ground. I felt like a child of the earth, very much so. I always do, but I especially did this particular day after a nice energy-filled bike ride. So I just laid in that grass and I smelt this warm summer energy come up from the clovers, and I just felt that beautiful connection as this chalice bubbles away with magic and that sense that life is full of promise and beautiful energies, and let's go further. What's written right on it? And it's a fulfillment of your desires, your wishes, your cravings, and all your emotional needs. This is a good vibe to get. I think you're going to have a very sensual and beautiful summer. So if we were sitting across from each other, which we are in some metaphysical aesthetic, in some alternate universe, the vibes closest to you, which are probably the most premier of all the vibrations we're going to speak of, say this: these are truly your vibes, your message, as you are now fully entrenching yourself in the Cancerian energies, whose mantra is, I feel. And the vibrational flow says this around you. Here's what you're going to feel. Good for you. The vibes suggest a money candle burning brightly. Yes, as I've mentioned perhaps in other reads with certain images like this, it's quite Daniel-esque. It's not in traditional arcanum of tarot. It's a green candle rather. It's a form of paramancy. It has Jupiter inscribed on it for abundance and gain and expansion. It's got Mars expressed on it, which represents your wherewithal to do something. And it's even got the Grand Trine on it that represents the past, the present, and which we'll get to in a moment, your future. But what's nice is the candle is ignited and the Eye of Horus is above it. So when the reading began and suggested material concerns and economic energy fields, and we have to consider how we're going to navigate this, now it's starting to show promise. It can navigate itself into something that could ultimately be, if you trust it, good for you. So trust the economic changes that are going to occur in your life, if indeed this is going to now be your prediction. Because my prediction would be, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. And here's why I can say that with even a greater sense of peace, calm, that there is a hierarchy that is flowing through me, because the vibrational field that falls with it is spiritual activity. And this is an extremely, I'm sorry, it overwhelms me. It's an extremely powerful vibe to get, and here's why. It is probably the most mystical card in my divination deck. When I did my mother's read on her hospital bed, and I had read her all her life, but when I read her for the last time, as she was slipping into a coma, and she was telling me, Daniel, I have to leave you now, but I've made you a strong boy and a strong being, and you can do this. She passed away, and when I got home, I went through my tarot deck and informed my wife, man, the card that represents my mother is missing from the deck. It was missing for 3 years. One night when I returned from a lecture, a presentation I had given in Glen Cove, down near me, this painting, this card, was laying on the middle of the living room floor. It was my mother's way of saying to me, Daniel, I have gained momentum and prowess and power in the heavens, and if you trust me, I will guide you and I'll help you to accomplish the things that you set out to accomplish. You have not lost me. You have gained me in even more powerful ways. And if you guys are getting this, then the people that you have lost, the moms you've lost, the siblings, sometimes I have to even include the pets that we lose. Anyone that you love is attempting to come through to say, I'm on this journey with you, and my desire is that you would be successful. Good. They know a lot more than I do. So if they are there for you, excellent. There's a cat who thinks he's all that, and they call him Charlie. I find it very interesting. Charles is not the kind of cat that normally feels terribly behooved to be part of a read. But in fact, the last reading he was in was blue this winter. So here he is again. He's made an appearance for me to take a look at our first prediction in the read. Now that we've taken a stock of sort of the energy fields we're navigating, we get to look at a prediction. Thank you, Charlie. Okay, let's take a look at what it is. He's shedding right now. It's summer. Like a vault. Okay. Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. Okay, so most important vibe of all of this, now that we've taken stock of sort of the atmosphere we find ourselves in, the psychic barometer, the ambiance, but the prediction matters the most. So the vibrational fields that represent what the future will have now in store for us, and each one of you now can take upon yourself your personal perspective on how to interpret this for yourself. But I'm sure it's going to be quite intense. The vibes say this. I'm sorry, this is a particular read where I've been looking first before I've letting you guys in on it. Okay, it's a good vibe. The Ankh, the key of life. It opens up things. This vibe can represent even longevity. So if there are those that are telling you, yep, the end of the world is near, or if there are those that are giving you a diagnosis, you don't have time. With a vibe like this, you have time. You have the power. There is longevity if you believe that there is. This is the key that can open up all the illumination that you want. Simply use it this year. This will be a very eye-opening year. An ancient Egyptian symbol, just like the goddess Sekhmet, a very summer goddess that I wear around my neck, specifically in summer. These vibrational fields are very intense and very solar, very sun-like, very Cancerian. But that's not the only vibe that it appears with. The vibe that it appears with ultimately is completely intellectual, and I have found it to represent a combination of fire and air. And if we recall, that vibe of fire, let's face it, fueled by air, was right in front of you guys when the reading started. But the vibe that ends the read suggests this is a year to be goal-oriented, vehement, passionate. You can do it. So treat this year like stepping stones. I based this painting on a portrait of from a statuary of Puss in Boots, a very old though statue in Paris that I loved very much, long before the cartoon came out and there was a new surge in popularity. I've always loved Puss in Boots. So of course he has to be in my tarot deck. But the vibrational field's quite interesting because this is very, again, speaking of Sekhmet, or even Bast, the cat goddess, this is very feline. Interesting Charlie was here, but it represents that sense of animal instinct. And again, use your emotion, your passion. As we said before, you can manifest anything. So, may this be the most passionate, the most beautiful, the most manifestory year you have seen in decades. Let this year be, represent, constitute a new beginning. Have a blessed summer, everyone, and I'll be reading you sometime in the near future for your autumn equinox read. But right now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Love your summer.